They look like men, but they break like glass. One harsh word, one failure, one rejection, and everything collapses. Not because the world is cruel, but because they were never built to endure it. What happened to masculinity? Somewhere along the way, we stopped forging men in fire and started molding them in comfort. Today, we see strong bodies with soft minds, loud voices with empty principles, men who can lift weights but can't carry their responsibilities, who crave approval more than purpose, who fall apart not in war, but in traffic, in arguments, in silence. Is this evolution, or is it collapse, dressed in convenience? Modern society built a version of manhood that's polished, passive, and painfully fragile. They taught him how to chase, but never how to lead, how to express, but never how to endure. He was raised to feel everything, but master nothing. He is praised for being open, but punished for being strong. So what would the Stoics say? Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and wrote about patience. Epictetus lived as a slave and taught inner freedom. Seneca faced death with calm. These were not soft men, they were carved by adversity, built in silence, grounded in purpose, and what they'd say about modern men wouldn't be kind. This video will not flatter you. It's not designed to make you feel better. It's here to disturb you, to shake something awake. 5 Stoic truths. Sharp, cold, uncomfortable, but necessary. Not for the weak, not for the compliant, but for the man who still feels the fire dimming and refuses to let it die. If you felt lost, weak, disconnected from the man you were supposed to become, stay, because what comes next is not motivation, it's war, and the battleground is you. The modern man was not raised in hardship, he was raised in convenience. Everything around him is soft, fast, effortless, so he confuses ease with peace. But peace is not the absence of difficulty, it's the presence of strength. And somewhere along the line we stopped asking men to be strong. We started telling them that resilience is toxic, that challenge is violence, that discomfort is danger. And they believed it, Ahavin. Seneca warned, it is not that we have a short turn to live, but that we waste a lot of it. And today, men waste themselves, not in battle, but in boredom. Hours lost to screens, potential buried under comfort. They scroll instead of build. They whine instead of endure. They fear discomfort like it's death, and avoid adversity like it's disease. But the Stoic man sees through the illusion. He knows strength is not found in pleasure, but in resistance, in discipline, in hardship, in fire. He does not seek pain for its own sake, but he does not run from it either, because he knows what it creates. Comfort coddles you, challenge carves you, and a man who avoids discomfort avoids becoming who he's meant to be. Until he faces it, he will never be more than potential. Modern culture says, be vulnerable, be expressive, be open. But it never says, be disciplined, be still, be dangerous, and in control of it. So men break under the weight of their own feelings, convinced that expression is strength. Even when it becomes chaos, they bleed emotionally, unfiltered and untrained, and call it honesty. But emotions are not the enemy, they are signals. The problem is not feeling them, but being ruled by them. Epictetus warned, no man is free who is not master of himself. Yet today, men are encouraged to vent before they understand, to cry before they confront, to speak before they listen. This isn't power, it's collapse, disguised as authenticity. The Stoic doesn't repress, he refines. He feels fully, but acts deliberately. He knows that not every emotion deserves a reaction. Not every wound needs an audience. Restraint is not weakness, it is mastery. Because true virtue isn't in what you feel, it's in what you choose to do with it. Modern men are loud, Stoic men are clear. And in a world obsessed with emotional release, the man who chooses self-command becomes a threat, not because he hides his emotions, but because he owns them. Most men today are drifting, not from lack of strength, but from lack of principle. They wear masks instead of values. They perform instead of believe. They chase relevance, not truth, They change themselves to fit the crowd, but lose themselves in the process. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter." But what is right when you've never defined it for yourself? Modern men inherit beliefs from influencers and algorithms. They don't ask, "What is my code?" They ask, "What will get me likes?" The Stoic lives by a code, a personal constitution. He doesn't borrow identity from culture, he builds it from within. His actions are measured not by popularity, but by principle, even when it costs him comfort, even when it makes him an outsider. The modern man wants to fit in. The Stoic wants to stand firm. And when life tests them both, only one remains. Silence once shaped men, now it scares them. In every quiet moment, they reach for distraction, music, podcasts, notifications, noise. Not because they're curious, but because they're avoiding something deeper, themselves. In a world of constant noise, silence has become confrontation. But a man who cannot sit in silence is a man with no foundation. Marcus Aurelius journaled in stillness, not to perform, but to understand. Epictetus trained his thoughts in silence. Seneca used it as resistance. Because silence is not absence, it is clarity, and clarity is what separates the impulsive from the powerful. Wooden men chase stimulation because they fear reflection. They mistake busyness for progress. But the Stoic chooses stillness before life forces it. Because he knows, truth does not scream, it whispers. And only the man who listens can hear it. The man who embraces silence becomes unshakable. Because nothing outside can shake the one who is grounded inside. Never before have men had so much access, opportunity, and potential, and yet felt so lost. They lift, they hustle, they grind, but for what? Movement is not meaning. Power without purpose is not strength, it's confusion with muscles. Seneca warned, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. And modern men are everywhere, online, connected, performing. But rarely are they present. Rarely are they aligned. They chase success, but forget significance. They collect tools, but ignore the blueprint. The Stoic doesn't rush, he aligns. He doesn't ask, "How fast can I get there?" He asks, "Is this where I want to go?" He knows direction is not inherited. It's defined through silence, reflection, and choice. A man who doesn't choose his path will always walk someone else's. And no matter how strong he appears, he will always be lost. Maybe no one told you this, but you were never meant to live like this. Soft, distracted, numb. You weren't built to obey trends, scroll through life, and fade away quietly. You were built to carry weight, to protect, to rise. You were made for more. The world is starving for men who are grounded, who are dangerous, but in control, clear, but humble. Stoicism doesn't ask you to suppress your fire. It teaches you to direct it. To live not for applause, but for alignment. To build a life rooted in silence, virtue, and inner command. You don't have to be a product of modern noise. You don't have to live soft just because the world rewards it. You can stop. You can choose discomfort over sedation, responsibility over escape, clarity over chaos. You can become the man that adversity cannot shake. And if something in this message woke something in you, even if it's just a flicker, protect that flame. Like this video, subscribe now, not for us, but because someone you know is slipping, and this might be the message that helps them rise. Here, we don't build egos, we forge souls. And if you're still here, maybe yours is already waking up.